Today's date is 3/28 of 18, and we're at Aubrey Wineski's residence. Myself, Aubrey, and Sergeant Mayer. Okay, I guess you start with you were the manager at Racy's?
I am. I've been the manager for about 2 years now.
Okay.
I got hired in August of 2011. I didn't work there for a period of time between 2012 and 2013.
Okay.
It's like 8-month period, and I've been working there ever since.
Okay.
Did you say August 2011 you started?
Yep.
Okay.
That's the year I graduated high school.
Okay. Okay. And I guess let's just start with Alex was an employee there, correct? Alex
Started off as like a regular. He'd been coming there since he moved here. 2012 is when he started college here.
And we're talking about Alec Woodworth.
Yep.
Okay. And how long had he been working there, you said? 2000?
I hired him personally, so probably close to 2 years.
Okay.
It might have been my first hire as a manager.
Okay. Did you happen to be working on Thursday the 22nd?
I was not.
You're not? Okay.
Do you know who was working that day?
Yes, it was my sister Ariel, Josh Trankler, and Jess Onsinger.
And is Ariel A-R?
I-E-L.
Okay. And is that the same last name?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm sorry I didn't catch it. It was Josh, Ariel, and...
Jess, I'm going to have to check her last name.
Okay.
Onsinger, I think is how it is. O-N-S-A-G-E-R.
O-N-S-G...
O-N-S-A-G-E-R.
D-R, okay. Sorry.
That's okay.
I guess what can you, tell us? Are you aware of who Ezra is then?
Yes,
Okay.
she was a regular. Jason and her met one night when Alex was closing the coffee shop, and she was in town with her car and it had broken down, and Jason and Alex were hanging out with her while she was calling people about getting her car towed or someone coming to pick her up.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first time that Jason and Ezra met. That's the first time Alex and Ezra met, and that's when she first started coming back to the coffee shop to be with Jason. And
Okay, when her car broke down.
yeah,
Do you remember about when that was?
summer of last year.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I've only known her for 6 months, something
Okay.
close to that.
Okay.
And her and Jason then started dating after
Almost
that?
immediately after that.
Okay.
Yeah, I never saw them apart really.
Okay. Can you kind of describe Ezra in your opinion or in your words?
Well, we didn't really get off to a good start. I don't really get joy out of being around people who, don't really hear you out and are always, interrupting, that kind of thing. Very aggressive with her communication and, just relationships with other people. Very self-loathing. I know she had a hard upbringing, and we had learned that through, getting to know each other over the years, casual bar talk. Yeah, it never really, reached out to get to know her more than seeing her at the coffee shop, because it just wasn't a person that I cared to know.
Okay.
So I didn't really have much information
Okay.
on her. Once she started sleeping with my coworker Alex, and once he started developing really strong feelings for Ezra, that's when I kind of heard about her more, and just kind of other tendencies and other details.
What are those?
She identifies as a male. She had a name change, I don't know how many years ago. I'm sure you're all aware of this aspect. never really identified well with her body. You know, to the point where she would draw on freckles and do, you know, disfigurement, not disfigurements, but use things to cover up who she really was. And Alex, who was asexual, never really had a romantic or sexual relationship with anyone, so it was very odd to hear that he was having a sexual relationship. And he was always talking about how tired he was because of all the sex that they had. And so just kind of those things that I heard from him.
Okay. You ever seen a temperament out of her or anything like that?
No, I think, I mean, communication-wise, she could be aggressive, but I never really saw her, you know, throw any punches or do anything really harmful. Usually when she was really upset, we would know, and she would just, you know, close out and, like, be really quiet and be really standoffish and, you know, mope away from everyone type of thing, but still be in our presence so that we knew that she was moping.
Okay. So she kind of highlighted that she was moping, so
Yeah.
you guys would
Pay attention to me.
pay attention
Yeah.
to that. Okay. What about Alex?
The kindest man I've ever known. Yeah, it's really hard to talk about.
Understandable.
He graduated with philosophy and biology degree. He really loved bugs and animals, and like he was really into Eurovision, which is like American Idol in Europe, and just a very quirky guy. Just had all the oddest things to contribute, but it was what you needed, and it was just, you know, your highlight of your day. It was always something different and funny and new, and he always had something to show you or some way to make you laugh. He remembered everything about you and would just remember that when you needed it, needed that reminder. He was the most kind person.
Okay. What did you... Can you kind of talk about, because we've heard the stories with Alex and Ezra, then Jason and Ezra, then Alex was Ezra dating while maybe Jason and Ezra are still kind of going out or whatever. Can you kind of just
Yeah,
talk about that a little bit?
So they probably, Jason and Ezra met in August, and like I said, they pretty much started dating right around then. My coworker Josh and Jason took a trip to California in November, and they were kind of, you know, like planning that in October, and they were getting together a lot, being together a lot more, and I think that gave Ezra a little bit more time away from him because he was occupied. And so that's when Alex and Ezra started. Just, I don't know, like, what their relationship, I don't think they identified as dating. I think they just had a lot of sex, and they, you know, also had a very, like, emotional relationship. But I know, I found out in January that it had been happening since October.
Okay.
But from what I know, like, it was always on again, off again with Jason and Ezra. They were always fighting. They were always getting into tiffs. And Ezra was, like, accusing Josh's friends of rape and that type of thing. I'm sure that is out there somewhere. Yeah. So, yeah, just always something fighting, something wrong in their relationship. But from what I knew, Jason didn't know about it until around the same time I did, around January.
Okay. How can you describe Jason?
I've never liked the guy in my life. I was the first person to tell everyone that I would not be surprised if he was involved.
Let me just stop there. Why would you
Okay.
say that?
Well, I mean, I guess it's not giving him a fair shake, but I see a lot of, I don't know the word to put to it, like sociopathic behaviors in him. he just doesn't have a lot of emotion or compassion. He's also a very self-centered person. You know, the type of person that asks you how you're doing so that you say, you know, how are you? And then we'll talk for the rest of the day about himself. You know, always been that way. I've known him for 6 years. He's dated one of my sister's friends. He's dated our friend Alon, who I know you might be speaking with. And to Ezra, Alon is one of the most fantastic people I've ever met. She refers to him as a snake. She wants nothing to do with him. We saw him at the hearing today, and he, you know, gave me a hug, but I didn't say many words. And I said, thank you for not coming to the coffee shop. Like, thank you for giving us our time. And he said, yeah, I know it probably hurts to see my face right now. And, you know, that's all I could really say to him. I was just like, thank you for not being there right now. But you would think that someone in this circumstance wouldn't be so devoid of emotion the way he was at that hearing there. He was more focused on to what was going on around the room and who was judging him maybe than what people were saying on the screen, because she wasn't in the room. She was on the screen in there, and then the judge and the attorney. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, I would turn back and he would be looking, watching us, watching everyone's reactions, not watching.
Is there anything else that makes you believe he's involved?
Yes, on Thursday, police were called to Alex's house for a confrontation happening outside between Alex, Ezra, and Jason. So I know that he knows more than, I mean, I understand the police went to the joint and took his phone away on Thursday to look through his phone and kind of make sure he wasn't involved, that kind of thing. And then he got it back, and he was at the coffee shop, and he was acting very wild, and he was pacing, and he was being very frantic. And then the day after was when they found the body.
Has he said anything else that makes you believe that he had anything to do with this?
No, nothing he said.
Okay. Any other actions?
No, I mean, just knowing about his past too, not that that makes or breaks a person, but in traumatic situations it could cause someone to make a rash decision. He's been deployed 2 times. He has, his family history is a little rough, like alcoholism in the family, not very close with any of them. His dad just died, and he didn't really fully grieve that either. I just think that, yeah, devoid of emotion is the best way to describe him, and that's why it's so hard to read and hear things directly from him.
You know, he's a smoker. Is he? How would you describe when he's smoking? Just occasional smoking, or smoke?
Cigarettes?
Yeah,
All the time.
all the time. Okay.
Like
He spends-
chain smoker, one right after the next, or?
Probably, like, close to it.
Okay.
Like I said, he's been coming to the coffee shop. He hasn't had a job for 6 months. Comes to the coffee shop every day. I'm working. Has like 3 or 4 cups of coffee, and is constantly sitting outside with people talking about
Where does he get his money in if he doesn't work? Do you have any idea?
military.
Okay.
He's been deployed. I think his dad left him with a good sum of money, and that was only like a year or 2 ago that his father passed.
How about his mother?
I'm not sure about his mother at all, actually. I know they don't have a very good relationship.
Does he have any siblings?
He does. I think he has a sister and a brother, but I can't be positive on that. I've known him a long time, but I really haven't gotten the chance to really...
Okay.
I never saw the reason to be his close friend.
Any, as far as Alex, any other relationships?
In his life,
Yeah.
he was telling people that he was in a relationship with a trans male, and it was very serious, and then we all pieced together that he was actually talking about Ezra the whole time. because Ezra identifies as a male.
Okay.
So we thought he was in another relationship, but he wasn't.
Okay.
I know there's a girl, Sarah, don't know much about her, but she used to live 2 houses down from me when he used to live there. And they had dated, and then they lived together, and, like, they were still friends after the fact. So I know that
Okay.
it couldn't have been an abusive relationship, and they were still friends up until the day I saw her come into the coffee shop and visit him.
Okay. How about any relationships with any other men or boys
No,
that you're aware of?
not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I know a few of his male friends, but I don't know if there was ever
Okay.
any
Okay.
romantic involvement.
Okay.
As you guys have talked, and my understanding is you guys have kind of met as a group and talked many times. Do you know, on Thursday, was Jason in the coffee shop?
Ariel would know. I could ask her right now.
Okay. Okay.
I know Ezra was.
Ezra was in the coffee shop?
And I think Alex must have been too, because we have a tip system, because the waitresses and like the restaurant is opened at the same time. The baristas get a cut of their tips, and Alex was working that day, so he got like $5 or something from the waitresses for making drinks, and he had already split the tips by Thursday when I checked for the money. Like, he had already taken his money. So he went in early to split his tips to take $5 before whatever happened when they left in the car together.
So he wouldn't have been working Thursday, though?
No, he was.
But he had been
His
in.
next day to work was Saturday. He worked Wednesday from 1 to 7. Most people saw him. My friend Josh worked the closing shift, and he saw Alex at the joint Wednesday night.
Okay.
Then Alex came in Thursday to get his tips. I mean, don't know for sure because I don't know where I saw him. Ezra came in Thursday, and I'm not sure if Jason did.
Do you know what time Ezra came in?
She already told me. I think she said like 11:30,
Okay.
but hearsay.
Do you happen to have any video or anything that would show any of this?
I can ask my manager if he can give me access to the video cameras. However, I don't think they record. I think they just play.
Okay, so they're kind of more of a live feed.
Yeah, because we use it in like the back kitchen area.
Okay. And does that show the dining room area too? Or?
It does. Yeah, there's 5 of them.
Okay. Is there a central place that they're hooked to, or?
Yep, it's all in the back kitchen. We call it the rat hole.
Okay. Okay.
I guess, you said Ariel was working on Thursday?
Would you like me to grab her?
Yeah, why don't we just do that? You guys can
Yep.
both sit here.
Sure.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay, Ariel, we're gonna just, I'm Rod.
Okay. Hi.
This is
I'm Travis.
Travis.
Let's just get your full name if I could.
Ariel Ray Wisniewski.
Okay.
Can you spell your first name just so we...
Ariel
Okay.
And Ray is,
Rae.
and, okay, I know. It's W.
Isnie Wski.
And your birth date. Okay, and I know Travis, this is 902 and a half. Do you live here?
I do live here, yes.
And I know, not to jump back here, but it's Aubrey, right?
Yep.
We asked you how to spell your last name and stuff, but we better confirm how to spell your first name too. As well.
Yeah, that's true. Aubrey.
Perfect. That's what I thought, but can't take anything for granted.
That's true. Detail count.
Ariel, what's a phone number for Is this, you guys got, are you just, Appleton, Menashif area phone?
Yeah.
Appleton, yeah.
Is that where you
Born,
guys?
raised, yeah.
Okay, okay. So you were working on Thursday the 22nd? Okay.
I was in the
You
morning.
were.
Yeah.
What time did you work from?
I worked from 6 a.m. until 1 p.m.
At Racy's?
I was, yeah.
Okay.
Do you remember that day pretty well?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember what time Ezra would have shown up?
Probably around 11:30.
That was the first time she showed up, or
Yeah.
had she? And what did she do when she was there?
She bought a mocha,
Okay.
and then she approached the people that were sitting at the counter.
She also tipped you.
And she tipped me $5, which was very weird for her.
Okay.
And then she left, and I didn't see her again.
Okay. Was Max there?
Yeah.
Okay. Did Max leave with her?
No.
Okay.
She left, and then with nobody, just by herself.
Okay. What time did she leave there about?
It was probably, 11:40. She was there for like 5 or 10 minutes. Like, it wasn't that long at all.
Was Alex there at that time?
No, he wasn't.
Okay. Was Alex in earlier?
No, I didn't see him that day.
And he must have picked it up Wednesday.
Okay. And was Jason there?
Yeah.
What time was he there?
He came in probably at around 8 a.m. and stayed through about probably my entire shift. He usually does.
Did he leave for a while? Okay.
The shift ends.
He's
at
out.
1.
He's outside smoking a lot, so sometimes I lose sight of him. It's
Okay.
possible that he biked away at one point and came back.
Okay.
So when Ezra came in and got the mocha, got the $5 tip, in your mind, what did she do then? Did she walk outside? Did she sit down? Because you said she was there 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, she walked up to the people that were sitting at the counter with me, hanging
Okay.
out.
Okay.
Who
And
were
that
those
was
people?
probably Max. Gage might have been there. I'm trying to think. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. That's good.
11:30. I'm trying to think of who would be there. Jay?
No, Jay wasn't there.
Think?
Might have been Brianna.
Josh?
Josh was there, but he says he didn't see her. So
Okay.
So did she just sit down and drink her mocha?
No, she was standing and talking, and then she walked out. I think.
Anything you remember her conversation at all?
No, I don't. I didn't really like her, so I didn't.
Okay.
I stayed
Pay
away
attention,
from her.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you leave work at 1 when you were done, or did you stay there, or?
Thursday. Yeah, I was there until like 2.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I left. I walked to the 3rd ward.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was Jason still there, or?
At 2.
If you remember.
Yeah. I don't remember. I don't think so.
Okay. Who worked after you?
Josh.
What would that shift be?
1 to 7 p.m.
1 to 7? So how well did you know Alex and Ezra? Let's start with Alex.
Well, Alex was one of my closest friends in Eau
Oh,
Claire.
okay,
I didn't know Ezra that well,
okay,
but he would tell me about their relationship.
okay. What did he say about their relationship?
That they had been sleeping together since October.
Okay,
And that she eventually just texted him and told him to, like, never talk to her again and that she wanted him out of her life.
And do you know about when that was, did he say?
I was sitting with him when it happened.
You told me this in like January or February?
Probably the beginning of February is when it happened. It was around the time we had a snowstorm. I know that. I don't remember.
Okay, so at some point Ezra texted Alex and said what?
She said, don't ever talk to me again.
And that was it?
Yeah, basically, that's...
No reason, no
Well, they
explanation?
had, Ezra and Jason had a big fight at Racy's, like a blowout, and after that, everything
During
that...
soccer shift, right?
Yes. And then after that, she texted him that.
Okay, with Jason,
Yeah, she had a blowout.
At Racy's.
At Racy's, yep.
and then she texted Alex.
She must have they both left because they weren't there when I was there, when I got there for my
Okay.
closing shift at 7.
Okay.
They weren't there anymore. And then Alex told me that she had texted him.
Since- Did he, and if you know, did he talk about specifics in the relationship, sex or any kind of sex or anything like that?
No.
No? Okay.
No specifics like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was Alex in any other relationships that you, whether it was other girls or any guys, any other that you knew of?
Not at that time.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Do you know of any other relationships he was in?
What was the woman?
Oh, there was an older woman too. Well, she wasn't older. She was just a woman with a kid that
Yeah.
he would hang out with at the bar, and it was like platonic
Okay.
relationship, I think. But it was
Okay.
like pretty deep, and they would like read books and be
Okay.
adorable old
Okay.
people.
But I think that was before
Ezra.
Yeah.
Okay.
This was like last summer before he got involved with her, probably.
Okay. Before Ezra even came to town, yeah.
Any history between any of those, Alex or Ezra, with any, other than, drinking, any drug use? That you know of?
That I know of.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I don't even know if Ezra does any drugs at all. I wouldn't know.
Okay. So were you ever over at Alex's place when Ezra was there?
No.
Okay. Did they ever come to this place?
She didn't.
Alex come over?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, God.
I don't, so you left it too, and you're not sure if Jason was still there when you left, or?
I couldn't say for sure.
Okay.
I feel like Josh would have a better idea of when he left or when he was around.
What was Josh's shift that day? Was it 1 to?
It was 1 to 7.
Okay.
I'm trying to think because I heard, I mean, this is all hearsay because it's not exactly what I had seen or anything, but that they were outside of Alex's house early afternoon.
Okay.
That comes from
Yeah.
Alex's roommate who saw Ezra on the porch and went and got Alex from the house.
Okay. I don't mean this to embarrass anybody. Did he, other than friends, is that all you guys were with Alex? Or
Yeah.
no other relationship? Or,
I made out with him once.
Okay.
No.
Okay. All right. You guys know if Ezra had a vehicle?
She did.
You know what type of, what it
It
looked
was
like?
an Impala,
Okay.
and she always did artwork all over it.
Okay.
Yeah, wasn't there like a
Okay.
I don't know the exact
animal on
artwork.
top? Yeah.
All right.
Is the vehicle found? Are you allowed to disclose that?
Still working on things. So,
Okay.
Now, I know your sister's the manager. She talked about there is some live feed cameras down there. Are you? Would she know any more about the cameras, Aubrey? Than
They
you?
record. I highly doubt it. But I could ask.
We could totally ask. I don't know
Okay.
if they record.
Now let me ask you this.
Who would be in control
Jeremy.
of the cameras?
Okay.
Is he at work now?
Okay.
Where is he at?
Probably his home.
Is that like a long ways away? Or?
No, it's a couple blocks. I don't know his exact address, but it's in the 3rd ward. I don't even know the street name right now, to be honest.
Okay.
Do you have a phone number for him?
I do.
Can we get that, please?
I sure can.
And I forgot. I know what I told me last time. I forgot it already.
Kashmar.
Kashmar.
Kachmar.
Yeah.
Is it understood that, like, he doesn't know who gave him his number?
Correct.
Thank you. Right.
We understand that he might not be quite
He's not cooperative.
pro law enforcement.
He's really not. And he's also not going to be cooperative with all of this. He's trying to,
Travis, do we have any more questions for these guys before we can think of it and shut this down?
I don't really think so. Is there anything else that you guys want to tell us?
I just wonder if there's anything that you are allowed to tell us that we haven't already said. Or is it just like what I know is what I can know?
For now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
for now, because it's an active, ongoing investigation. There's some things that we need to tie together.
Sure.
And knowing whether or not there's working cameras is
Essential.
essential. And I don't know, I don't want you to call him now and say, hey, is there cameras? But if you could help us work towards that, because if there is, we would really like to get them discreetly. Otherwise, we have other options, and we don't want to do other options and push this to the point where it upsets people. But we really need to know information that's
was
on
there.
there to establish where people were at certain times.
And do you know if that even, have you ever heard, is it only good for so long? Is it?
Right, like a live feed, I think it just doesn't record anything. I think it just like streams on the TV.
Okay.
I can go down there right now and like play around with it and then give you guys the green light if I can't figure anything out with it.
Well, that would be we could just at least look at it then.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we could at least look at it,
Okay.
I guess the biggest thing is, we don't, if there is something there, we sure don't want to get it destroyed.
Absolutely.
Because
Right.
there's certain things we're looking for on that date that we really need to know.
I can also like ensure that
answers.
he's not there right now so that.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, as far as that goes, and I think any other questions, I'm just going to shut the recorder off here and then we'll go down there.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey guys, so I wanted to share this with you. I found these articles about Aubrey. So Aubrey and Ariel are sisters. It's the interview we just listened to. Aubrey is the one that talked first, and then Ariel talked second. Ariel was the barista at the coffee shop that day, and Aubrey is the manager at Reese's. So they both work there, and they both know Alex. They're both friends with Alex, and they know Ezra, and they know everybody. Well, you just heard the interview. The day of the murder, that Ezra and Jason and Max, I'm not sure, I don't know much about Max, but they were all at Racy's, the coffee shop that day. Anyway, I found this article about Aubrey, and I wanted to read it to you since we're listening to our interview. So here we go. Okay, so this is July 15th, 2019. So it says, breaking, missing Eclair woman found safe. And that's her. Okay, so it says, missing endangered woman Aubrey Lynn Wisnowski was found safe, according to Eclair Police Department. Wisnowski was last seen leaving her Eclair home and headed to Appleton on July 13th. She never made it to her destination. So remember, that interview we just listened to is March 28th, 2018, and the murder was March 22nd, 2018, just to put it in perspective. So it was basically about a year and a half estimate after the murder and after that interview we just listened to, she was missing. Okay. So it says, Eclair police need your help finding a missing person. They say could be unalive. Unalival. I don't know how to say that. I hate that we can't say that word when we're talking about it for like education and awareness, but it just sucks that if we say it, they can't differentiate that we're not saying we are and we're not promoting it. We're bringing attention and awareness to the fact that it exists, but gotta play by the rules. Okay, so Eclair police say Aubrey Lynn, 26, was last seen leaving her Eclair home and headed to Appleton around 3 p.m. on July 13th. She never made it to Appleton, and her family is concerned. Police say Wisnowski suffers from mental health issues and has made unalive statements. Police add she made mention of Madison, La Crosse, and Chicago prior to leaving. Her last phone activity was in the Toma area early Sunday. She should be driving a gray Mercury Milan with Wisconsin license plate, with a missing passenger mirror, according to authorities. Aubrey's 5'6", 130 pounds with short brown hair. She was last seen wearing a blue patterned shirt, a bright orange skirt, and a large headband. She is also known to wear glasses. And then it says if you see her, you're asked to contact. Okay, but they did end up finding her. Anyway, I just thought I'd read that because that is the interview we just listened to. But I'm glad she's found safe and hopefully she's doing well. That was 6 years ago. So hopefully she's doing okay now and is happy and not suffering from these thoughts anymore. But all right, guys. I have a few more interviews involving this case. So sorry I'm a little slow to getting them out. I'm trying. Also, if you guys want to watch the trial, I would recommend Rottweilerinvestigations. And she is a supporter of my channel, as I am of her channel. So she covered this case very in depth when the trial was going on and stuff. So I'll link her channel in the description. It's called Rottweiler Investigations. She has some good stuff, like trial footage and body cam interviews and stuff like that. So if you guys want to check her out, because the Ezra trial is very interesting. She actually testifies. She takes the stand. Ezra does. Jason does. Aubrey, Ariel, all these people that you're seeing their first interviews. So the interviews I'm releasing is their first interviews. So I feel like those were probably going to be the most honest because these are like before, you know how trial. I mean, I think us true crimers understand like when trial starts, the prosecution kind of, now they don't tell the people to lie or anything, but they only choose to ask and answer certain questions that help their narrative and what they want to portray as important, right? So like they'll do this first interview, which we're listening to in these interviews I'm releasing, and then they take, what's said in the interview and then kind of, the prosecution will practice with him and try to figure out, which questions they want to ask, which questions answered and stuff like that. But these ones are kind of just, I feel, the most honest, and they're before the prosecutors get to kind of condense what they want everybody to hear. So I feel like it could be more honest interviews, to be honest, and more details, because like I said, once you get on the stand, you can only answer what they ask. So they ask what they want to ask, So, all right, guys, have a good one. Look for my next one. Hopefully I'll try to get it out, and I'll try to get the next interview out within the next couple weeks. I'll do my best. Have a good one. Bye.